When your income goes up, the way that you invest needs to change. As someone who grew up in a family of teachers in Eastern Europe and later became an investment company CEO, I've lived on less than 1,000 euros per month, and I've lived on 10,000 euros per month. In this video, I will show you the smartest way to approach investing at different income levels. Level 1, 1,000 euros per month after taxes, assuming that you are single. In wealthy European countries like Denmark or Austria, this kind of income is barely enough to survive. In Eastern Europe, where I live, it's simply the low end of average. If you're making 1,000 euros per month and if you want to build wealth, the honest truth is that it's very, very hard. With the inflation that we've had these last few years, you will struggle just to pay rent and buy groceries and clothes, maybe see the occasional movie. You're not going to have much left over to save and invest. That's just reality. So if you're financially ambitious, at this income level, you should have one primary goal: to boost your income. Develop your skills, get a higher paying job, and start making more money. That said, it still makes sense to invest in a way. Step 1, you should invest in your safety cushion. Build an emergency fund that you will keep in a high-yield savings account in your bank. If you're living paycheck to paycheck with no savings, it's extremely hard to get ahead because any little setback can push you into debt. That's why you need to build up enough cash in the bank so that you're okay if you lose your job, or if your car breaks down, or if there's some other unexpected expense. Even though it's really hard, even though it might mean taking public transport everywhere and cooking at home and skipping all luxuries, you need to find a way to put aside 1 or 200 euros a month and build that safety cushion. Step 2 is invest in yourself. At this income level, I would prioritize your skills over your brokerage account. I mean, if you can work hard and save and invest 50 euros or 100 euros per month in stocks or ETFs, that's wonderful, do that. But realistically, your wealth will grow very slowly until you reach a higher income level. I like the way Alex Hormozi puts this. Instead of the S&P 500, invest in the SME 500. Identify the key skills that could boost your income in a reasonable time frame, like 6 to 12 months. This could be sales, marketing, negotiation, or tech skills, for example. Develop these skills using free resources like YouTube or cheap courses on Udemy or Coursera. Start applying these skills professionally until you can negotiate a higher salary with your boss or move to a higher paying job. Your goal here is to invest in yourself until you can advance to the next income level, which is level 2, 2,000 euros per month after taxes. In most European countries, this would be considered a decent income. It puts you in a good place to make financial investments. Now, you should still be doing steps 1 and 2. You need to have an emergency fund in place, and you should keep investing in your skills and education. But now, it's time to add step 3. And I have to warn you, many young people don't find step number 3 very exciting, but it's actually essential for your financial success. Step 3 is investing for retirement. Here's a big problem I often see with financially ambitious people. We have big plans for the future. We think that at some point we're going to get rich, maybe by building a valuable business or getting a high-income job. We assume that retirement is going to take care of itself because we'll have plenty of money. And well, I really hope that that works out for you. If you are smart, if you're ambitious, if you work hard, building wealth here in Europe is possible. But what if it doesn't work out? Paying for retirement can take hundreds of thousands of euros. But if you look at the statistics today, only a few percent of Europeans are millionaires. Only a few percent have enough wealth where it's easy to spend that kind of money in retirement. The reality is that the path to wealth is slippery. Many people who have a high income never become wealthy because they spend too much. If you start a business, you've got to recognize that most new businesses fail. And even if your business doesn't fail, the typical small business owner doesn't earn much more than a typical corporate manager. It is extremely rare for individuals here in Europe to have the kind of wealth where retirement savings really don't matter. So, unless you invest for retirement, you risk arriving at pension age with little to no savings. And as you've probably noticed, government pensions in most of Europe are quite low. According to official EU statistics, the average pension replacement rate across Europe was 61% as of 2024. What this means is that somebody who diligently paid taxes all their life might expect the government pension to cover 60% of their final salary. But you have to keep in mind that Europe is getting older. There are more and more old people and fewer taxpayers. according to European Commission data, pension replacement rates are expected to go down in virtually every European country. And of course, retirement age will have to go up, like in Denmark, where it's already 70. This means that even if you're financially ambitious, it is reckless not to save and invest for retirement. So, how should you invest for retirement? I would start by investigating your local pension products. In most European countries, there are pension funds or special retirement accounts where you can pay in money and get tax benefits. And this can be hugely valuable. That said, these pension products can have three big problems. First, they tend to be expensive. If you have to pay your pension manager 1.5%, 2% per year in fees, that can wipe out any tax savings. So always demand to know all the fees that you will be paying. Second, in some European countries, pension products are extremely conservative. They put your money into high-quality bonds, which earn very little profit. With this kind of pension investment, you will struggle to build significant savings over time. Ideally, look for pension products that allow you to direct your own investments or to choose low-cost investment funds like ETFs or index funds. And the third problem is that pension products often lock up your savings until age 55, 60, or 65. You can't access your money if you want to start a business or buy a house or help your kids. So basically, if your country offers some good tax breaks and you've got low-cost pension products available which allow you to invest in ETFs or index funds, I would absolutely take advantage of them. But you might also want to consider putting some investments aside in a regular brokerage account so that you will have access to them if you need the money. We'll talk about how to best do that in a minute. But first, how much should you save for retirement? Well, here's a rough guideline. If you're starting out in your 20s, it's probably enough to put aside 10% of your salary every month. In your 30s, you should aim for 10 to 15%. And if you're starting at age 40 or later, the ideal investment rate would be 15 to 20% of your income or more. That said, don't get discouraged if it seems like too much. Invest whatever you can because having modest retirement savings is still a lot better than having no savings at all. Alright, so in level 2, when you're earning around 2,000 euros per month, your biggest priority should be investing for retirement. Next up, we've got level 3. Your income is now 4,000 euros net of taxes or more. Well, congratulations! No matter where you live in Europe, this is a high income. If you are the sole breadwinner in your family, if you are supporting a partner and you've got children, 4,000 euros per month might keep you in level 2, where all you can afford is to save for retirement. But if you're single or if you have another income in your family, you should now have enough income to build some real financial freedom. That said, I'm guessing it probably doesn't feel that way. It's possible that you've already made a fundamental money mistake, which I've been guilty of myself. You see, one of the benefits of having grown up poor and later becoming a professional investor is that I've got friends at all income levels, from people earning 1,000 euros per month to others making 10,000 euros or more. And the crazy thing is that in both categories, I know people who are saving and investing, and I know people who are struggling and living paycheck to paycheck. Yes, even at 10,000 euros per month, some people feel like they just can't get ahead. By the time they pay for their house, their 2 cars, their kids' private schools, and their annual vacations, there's nothing left over. They might even have credit card debt. You might think that's ridiculous, and you would be right. But trust me, as your income goes up, it's very, very easy to spend it all. Let's say you get a high-paying job or launch a good business. You are now making 4,000 euros, 5,000 euros, maybe 6,000 euros per month, way more than the average in your country. Well, when you think about it, that means you're a statistical outlier. From the perspective of probability, there's a big risk that your income will go down again at some point. It only takes a bit of bad luck or a weak economy to drag your income back down toward the average. But our human brains don't think in probabilities. We think linearly. So if you see 6,000 euros coming into your account 2 or 3 months in a row, your brain is going to assume this is normal and it's going to continue forever or even keep growing. So that means you're going to start feeling like you can afford things. The fancy international school for your kids, the big house, the Range Rover. You start paying for these things, maybe even on credit, because face it, you can afford the monthly payment. And suddenly you have these huge fixed monthly expenses that you must spend no matter what. And as long as your income stays high, you can kind of keep up with it, even though you're not saving much. But if your income falls, you get into financial trouble. If you are already in this position, it is time to face the truth. You are simply spending too much and you need to cut back, or you risk financial disaster sooner or later. If you're not in this situation yet, that's great. As you move into level 3, as your income goes up, make sure to raise your spending slower than your income goes up. A good rule of thumb is to raise your spending only half as fast as your income. For example, if your salary goes up from 2,000 to 4,000 euros per month, add only 1,000 euros to your spending and use the rest for investing. If you do that, then level 3 becomes a real opportunity to build wealth for yourself and your family. Okay, but let's say you do have a good amount of extra income that you could invest every month, maybe 200, 300, 500 euros per month or more. Let's say that you have already maxed out your pension fund or tax-advantaged investment account, like the ISA in the UK or the PEA in France. Where do you invest the rest of your money? Well, the two most powerful long-term investments have been real estate and the stock market. To be clear, both real estate and stocks involve risks, but both of these investments have very good track records spanning centuries. That said, in my view, they're not equally attractive for beginning investors. For example, look at real estate. You buy a house or apartment and you rent it out long-term or maybe like an Airbnb. This can generate very good income for you, but it's a lot of work to manage the property and the tenants. And it takes a lot of money to buy a property. Even if you're at level 3, you will probably need a mortgage. And that makes this kind of investment quite risky if the economy slows down and house prices decrease. That is why I prefer to invest in stocks, because with stocks, you can start with smaller amounts of money and you don't need to borrow to invest. What is more, if you do it right, stock investing doesn't take nearly as much work or time as real estate. But of course, if you're thinking about investing in stocks, you will have a lot of questions, such as which stocks should you buy? How do you protect yourself from the risks? And when is a good time to start investing in stocks? Well, to find out the answers to these questions, watch this video next, where I walk you through a step-by-step guide to stock investing for Europeans.